If you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. I wanted to discuss something else. Excuse me. And that was actually along prospects. I think it's a good conversation to have now. It's not just the Orioles prospects, but across baseball. And when do you bring a guy up, especially a highly touted player that has a lot of expectations or you think could help the big league team right now? So I want to start this conversation because it is going to revolve around one Orioles prospect and Sam Basallo, but it starts with the top prospect for the Kansas City Royals, Jack Caglione, who is just absolutely on a tear. And general manager of the Kansas City Royals, J.J. Picollo, talked about Jack's hot start up in AAA and when would be the right time to bring him up. And I think his answer is interesting, and we're going to have a conversation here on the other side.
5 in a week is a pretty good accomplishment. How far he hits them, how hard he hits them, that's not too surprising. That's been his track record for a number of years. So I'm just glad that he got off to a good start. He did a great job. And then he went out and, he did it. He really couldn't do any better. So it's good to see. The hardest part about this for us is we're trying to do what's best for the player. I mean, that's ultimately what this is. You want the player to be as prepared as he can when he comes to the major leagues. It's not fair to any player, whether it's Jack Caglione or whoever, when a team maybe scuffs on offensively to try to put it on him and hope he's going to come save the day. The best way to break any player into the major leagues is to try to bring him up when the team's hot, offensively scoring some runs. That's not why he's not coming up right now. We just want him to face more advanced pitching in AAA, see how they game plan for him, how he adapts and makes adjustments, not just game to game, but at bat to at bat. It'll take, I don't want to put a timetable on it, but we want to see it for a little bit. I mean, this first week was great, but we certainly weren't saying when he went to AAA, have a good first week and bring him to Kansas City. AA, they may be trying to pitch him a certain way. The execution is just different. AAA, the pitchers are more advanced and they'll be able to hit their spots more often than a AA pitcher, for the most part. So, watching how they pitch him night to night, one team to the next. He went through it a little bit with Tulsa. First time he faced Tulsa, they pitched him one way. The next time they pitched him differently. So he learned something from that. But that's certainly what's going to happen here. Whatever weakness there might be, major league pitchers are going to game plan for it and try to exploit it.
So I thought that was an interesting conversation because when you look at Jack and what he did during spring training for the Kansas City Royals, sat there and went, damn, he looks like he's going to be a player. And sooner rather than later in the big leagues, he's going to get his opportunity. And you heard earlier saying, well, when the team's hot, that's when you want to bring a guy up. But that's not what we look at. And that's not why the Royals are making any moves, because they also want to see him develop in the minors. And there is an importance of facing pitchers at a certain level where you feel like you can start to master that and you move on. Why am I bringing this up? Because then another top prospect that's in Baltimore, well, guess what? People have started to ask the question with all the catching injuries. Well, when is one Sam Basallo going to make his debut in Baltimore? Because it seems like after he's been injured, and I know his batting average is a little bit lower, but you've been seeing highlights. It's been a home run here, home run there. And people are saying, well, when do you start the clock? When do you give him more of an opportunity? And so I want to explain a little bit more about that and why I have my reservations. But again, I want to shout out our friends over at MeritClubs.com. And Merit Clubs, thank you very much. Again, if you're looking for a membership, you sign up. First month, you go for 12 days. And the first 30 days, you get the next month free on them. So Merit Clubs, appreciate you guys. Now, here's my reservations. And I like the fact that he talked about JJ saying putting the player in the right position. I don't think the right position is for Sam Basallo to come up to Baltimore given the circumstances of this team. If you're looking for Sam Basallo to be a hero, he's not going to play hero ball. If you're looking for Sam Basallo to be the everyday catcher, he's also not going to be given the reins to do that. But overall, the experience for Sam Basallo, he is 20 years old. And when you're looking at the development of a player and going through the full ups and downs, he's starting to do that. But if you look at his sample size, it's still very, very minimal. So let me go through this right now. He has spent 51 total games in AAA. 51. And his batting average compared from last year to this year has still not eclipsed 245. And I know people say batting average doesn't matter as much anymore. Erroneous on all accounts. Erroneous. No chance you know that movie quote.
So what? Happy Gilmore.
Nope, Wedding Crashers. But
that's what you heard me say W. I was gonna say that.
That's next. I didn't hear that. But my point is batting average matters to me because you have to be able to square up the guy you're facing. Now his OPS this year is over 900, right? That's great. People love that. He's got 9 jacks on the season, but you got to see him go through failure. And I think as he continues to get more reps, that's going to be great for him. And then talk about him after the deadline and you're looking at August or September. If he's ready, then you come up. Because you know what also happens, Zach? If you call up Sam Basallo, what's going to happen, you think?
Going to struggle.
He's going to struggle. And then what do you think the other conversation is going to become with the current catcher on this staff? Well, what are you going to do with Adley? And I think Adley is going to be a staple for this team moving forward. And he's got to figure some things out. But I do believe in the talent of Adley Rutschman. I think you're going to cause more controversy on a team that you don't need at this current moment in time. That's my personal opinion. Now, if Adley was out for a long period of time, that's a different discussion. Should be back soon from avoiding the concussion IL. But let him play it out and let Sam Basallo learn what he needs to do. I think Jack Caglione on the other side of it, I think he's going to the big leagues soon. I think Kansas City's team, where they're at, where he's at, their structure, their culture, I think Jack's going to be up there well before Sam is going to be up there. That's my personal opinion. But you guys see what I'm saying, Zach, on that? Like, Are we in agreement on it, or what do you guys think? Or Kev, Zach, go ahead.
I don't think we see one. I think just solely, I know people with Adley being injured or dealing with the protocol that people are like, oh, well, this is the perfect time to bring Basallo. I think Basallo's caught 5-6 times this entire season because of injury. I mean, he's been DHing, he's been playing elsewhere. So I agree. It's not going to be today. It's not going to be, I doubt it's going to be this week. I doubt it's going to be this month. I doubt it's going to be next month. I could see, maybe in July, if he's still performing well. I think they want to see him struggle some, honestly, in AAA and see how he adjusts, because we talked about it with Jackson Holiday. It felt like all he'd seen is success. He gets to the top and he starts failing. And it was like, okay, he didn't have enough time to adjust and get past that failure. So when you're doing something similar with Basallo, a 20-year-old, I mean, he's 20 years old. This isn't a guy who's been sitting down there. This isn't a Kerstedt. This isn't a Mayo where you're like, hey, he's seen way too much AAA hit or pitching. Let him get opportunities, continue to grow as a player, just honestly learning how to continue to be a catcher in pro baseball. And I think you can only benefit from keeping him down there right now. I don't think right now throwing him up there and then suddenly you have to play him every day, because you can't do the thing of, hey, we're going to bring you up and play you every other day. That's going to just stall his development. And then on the other side, if you bring him up and he doesn't succeed, now there's all this pressure on him. We saw Jackson Holiday. He gets brought up. He doesn't succeed right away. He said, oh, he's a bust. We got to trade him. Pressure begins to mount. So I just don't think with everything going on that this is the best time for a 20-year-old to get, flung into this lineup and be like, hey, save the day.
Yeah.
Hey, Ryan, take us into the mindset on the other side from Basallo's perspective. What's his mindset? Is he saying to himself, "Oh, I should be there," or I mean, you know the athlete side. So what's that mindset? Take the fan and the anyone else thinking what they know better than. What would be on that side? How does he see, or how do you think he sees this process? And are you just happy to kind of just get reps every day and just your time will be there if you just continue to what's that mindset look like?
Well, I think the answer out loud will be, I'm just going to continue to wait my turn and go out there and do what I can, and when my time comes, it comes, right? That's going to be the answer out loud. Now internally, you're telling yourself, I think I'm ready. You know, I still think when I'm looking at it, when you're looking at what he could work on, he needs a little bit more seasoning. But the confidence of the player, and that's like for Sam. Sam's confident. So he's sitting there and he believes, like if it was spring training, and heck, he really hadn't played in AAA. If you had said, Sam, you're going to the big leagues, he'd say, I'm ready. Like he would believe that he could go out there and do it. So I think that's that fine line. And I think that whenever the move does happen, how do you keep him with that same confidence? If that makes sense, right? So if he is that confident as a player, would you rather see him continue to build that in AAA? And then once you call him up, he's there, right? I don't want any wish-washy, give him a full run, because that's also the part of the development. And JJ Piccolo, the Royals GM, is looking at it as how do I make sure when Jack Caglione gets called up that he has that same confidence that he's going to go out there and hit a home run every night.
Right.
It's the same thing with Sam Basallo. So that's how I look at it with him. I think that he's matured more, but that hunger as a player, you want to test yourself against the best.
Let me just go.
And you know, when everyone tells you how great you are too, that also plays into it.
Sure.
I've mentioned that to you before, and you guys, Kev, Zach, intern Sam, if you haven't heard, now you're going to hear, is when everyone tells you how great you are, yeah, you can believe the hype, but then you also want to go out there and prove you are the best. So I think that's the other part of it. We've heard Sam Basallo is the next best catching prospect out there. He's a man amongst boys. And every team last year, over the last couple of years, wanted him, and the Orioles wouldn't trade him and Jackson Holiday because of the upside is remarkable. All right, well, do you believe the hype? Are you going to live up to the hype? But really, can you just go out there and perform? I don't care what anything else happens. That's what he's going to have to do. So I hope I answered that question. I think that's what Sam's going to have to do when his time comes. But do you want him to come up in a situation where you're 10 days in to a new interim manager? There is stress and pressure already in that locker room where guys are fighting for their jobs. You already have another catcher that's there that's trying to get his footing back. I think that also matters in the conversation.